time to underpaint. Have you ever underpainted? Because it's quite delightful and it's actually a lot easier than trying to place on top of foundation. There's actually less mess ups. I'm excited to try this. This is an underpainting palette from Mary Phillips. It just came in the mail. I ordered it the moment that I could order it. I'm thinking I should have got the lighter shade, but I think we're gonna be okay here. So naturally, where we're gonna start is here. Okay, we're gonna grab that on our C30. And you notice I'm really loading up the product here. I'm not really sure. Yep, that picked up exactly how I thought it was gonna pick up. So these aren't going to be wildly pigmented, and that's a really, really good thing, especially if this is a newer technique for you. Ooh, 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 that's a really good shade. Now I'm already thinking though, for the underpainting technique, I should have bought the lighter one, but we're just gonna go with it because you kind of want everything to be a little bit more dramatic if foundation's going on top of it, but we're gonna use this. So when we're placing all of these lighter shades, I want you to go over to a window one day. I want you to look out and I want you to look for cats. I'm kidding, that's what I do. But I want you to go over and I want you to look at where light naturally hits us. And for most of us, that's always on a high point. So that's somewhere to place this. Think of the center. Think of even here, the light is going to even hit us through here. So that's where all of the lighter shades are going to go. Now this is going to need to be thinned out. How I have it right now, that's going to be too heavy to put foundation on top, but that's okay. Right now, we're just working on our placement. Now, as I'm painting this on, I got to thinking something. Remember how I was mentioning I should have went lighter? Maybe it's a good thing that I didn't, because sometimes when we put things, especially underneath our foundation that is too light, sometimes what can happen is it can turn gray. It can look like a cast. It can even make hollows look a little bit worse. So I think I'm actually happy now with the color that I chose. You know, I should do a demonstration on that. And I think we're gonna use this to cover this up. Nice. And I feel like we only need the precision where we're trying to reshape. So I like to add lift. So I am gonna keep this line pretty sharp. I would keep it a little sharp here because that is going to start to lift everything back this way. And I know it sounds a little sassy and a little complicated, I know, but it's really not. So that is pretty good. Let's get some little whiskers on. If you're just now seeing my video for the first time, I think you can already kind of tell that I like cats. All right, let's start to shape the face. I'm grabbing this one because this is going to be more of a true contour on me. I'm even going to take it in here. I know, we're getting wild. Wild. I love makeup so much. Underpainting was one of the first things that really caught my eye when it comes to makeup, and it felt like a painting, and I said, I want in on that. So let me talk about placement here. What the heck am I doing? I am pretty much following my natural shadow. Again, another thing that we can do going over to that window. It really helps you understand the true shadows on your face. I would not place that cool tone here. Do you know why? Because there's technically not a shadow there. What I would do later is put this, which is a little bit warmer, I would put that on my forehead as bronzer. So anywhere that the sun is going to hit on the higher points, that's where we're going to put bronzer. And for contour, anywhere that you see a shadow, like even here, well, we can contour there. We're contouring in the shadows, if you will. See my natural shadow there? Let's just go ahead and follow that. And if you don't have natural shadows, all I want you to do is essentially fill for the bottom part of your jaw. Okay, right there's my jawbone. All I'm doing is filling around for that, or fill around for the very top of your teeth. You know what really taught me face placement? It was doing skeleton makeup. That's everyone's assignment. Again, my bone structure just kind of does this. I can't wait for you to see it all blended out. And remember, if it feels complicated, most of it is just me yapping. But I do feel that the yapping is what really helps us understand. It takes a little bit longer, but it might click. Now, if you're looking for a more precise nose contour, this is not going to be it. Again, all of this gets covered, so that's really where the ease and seamlessness comes in. But you're definitely going to get shape, and that's kind of how I've always liked to do my nose. It's more about shape for me, less about reconstruction with makeup. Still on that contour shade, we're going to do Mary's signature lip contour. I'm going to grab a little bit more. Y'all are trusting the process. I know this looks like absolute hooliganism, but it's going to get somewhere. Now, this is the 𝗕𝗘𝗧𝗬 brush, and it's actually designed for underpainting. It's just sold out. I am grateful, but it's so sad that it's sold out in this time. That being said, I'm actually going to use it for the bronzer. Why did I wear a white headband? Whose idea was this? And I like how that's going to be darker because, again, everything needs to be a little bit more exaggerated. And I need you to not be, oh, look how smooth and thin I can get it. I should go over everything with this. But everything needs to be a little bit more exaggerated when it comes to underpainting. Now, I wiped my 𝗕𝗘𝗧𝗬 off, and I'm just going to go ahead and smooth this out. How smooth it gets it. Woo! Bring it down the neck a little bit. I didn't show this only because I forgot, but it is there. Ooh, that blends out nicely. And then I'll wipe my brush off and we'll go smooth out the highlight. Look how it even fits in here. Contrast. Do you see how much lighter this looks now? And I'm just wiping this on my makeup towel in between switching colors. And we are almost blended out. At this step, you just want to make sure everything kind of essentially keeps its shape a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want to make sure that everything is wildly smooth. It just needs to be tapped out, or we could have creasing. Now, you want to pick a foundation that can go light to medium coverage, and you want something that kind of matches how wet your underpaint is. These are pretty emollient to me. I'm just going to show you on my finger. I know you can see it on my face, but sometimes the texture on our finger really helps us understand. You can see how wet that is. Also, I don't know why I'm a raisin. Please don't try to diagnose me in the comments. But for now, just focus on the texture of this. So you want something that will match that texture, or we could have caking and separating and chaos and possibly tears. So this is going to be fantastic. This is one of my favorite foundations at the moment. And I'm going to go ahead. I just did one pump, and that's even going to go on top of what's underneath our eye. I know. But also notice how I'm going around. I'm not directly going, I'm putting it in my hair. I'm not directly going on top of this. Now this is still in stock. This is our 𝗕𝗘𝗧𝗬 foundation brush. And the reason I didn't want to go on top, see, we're still shaping. There's so much shaping that goes on with this. Where was I? Yeah, the reason we don't want to go on top of this, it's 𝗕𝗘𝗧𝗬𝗧𝗬. So we want to ease into it. We will go on top of it. Ooh, look at how smooth. Ooh, we're about to go on top of it. Hang on now. You want the smallest amount on top, and it's just gonna melt. Look how seamless. Okay, Mary. I like this. Same thing on my forehead. You don't want to get too wild and spook it. You gotta ease onto it. There you go. It sounds more complicated. Just don't go directly on top of it. An underpainting can seem a little intimidating at first, but there's really a lot of benefits to it. Essentially, whenever you're working in these really, really thin layers, thin, even layers, might I add, what can happen is it's going to wear so much better. Makeup just loves to be in thin, even layers. So when you're able to build this way, it really lasts a lot longer. I'm gonna take this shade on this prototype brush and just place some under here. I also feel that underpainting is just so much easier, and I might have already said this, if you're wanting to sculpt. Now, think of this as still sculpting. Yes, there's still a lot of steps here, but it's so much more forgiving than having to do all of this on top of foundation. Anytime you can hide mistakes, that's a good idea in my book. And that's essentially what underpainting does. It's still all about the sculpt. I'm not trying to say that this is a 5-minute routine, but it's a lot more forgiving than doing this on top of foundation. This doesn't have to do with underpainting. I just wanted to add a little bit of this liquid shadow to my lid with an E28 brush. Tap that in. Now I have an eyeshadow look. I am going to set that cream, but we're not there yet. And this is all the eyeshadow I'm gonna do. So this could be a really helpful tip. Whenever I'm working with a product that is this wet, it's not scary, I promise. And if you have oily skin, you could have just done a little bit of translucent powder underneath. But what I'm gonna do is a fluffy brush, C41. Oh, by the way, really quickly, this right now is on sale as a duo. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Anyways, fluffy brush, and we're gonna do a very light preset. This helps to kind of get ready for setting with a puff or really adding more powder. Because if I essentially take this puff and make contact with how wet that is, and even if I take a brush and really try to set, because I don't have a lot of powder on here, what can happen is patchiness. So this little preset just gets everything a little bit ready. Okay, now we're good. We're grabbing our puff. Everything is nice. Everything is working out. There are no makeup mistakes here. I'm actually gonna set this in here too. Woo, yeah. Set the center. Now do be mindful, I don't wanna take the puff here. You don't wanna change the color or gray up any of the warmth that's on our face. So we do wanna be mindful of the puff in those areas. And this is just something I love to do, and I do think it makes a difference. So instead of setting with a brightening powder, any kind of loose powder, I like to set with a powder bronzer, just very, very lightly. I'm not even adding a ton of color here. And the reason why is because I keep talking about that cast. I keep talking about things turning gray. And especially with foundation already being on top of the darker shades here, we are running the risk of things turning a little too gray. So I'm just gonna make sure that doesn't happen and take a whisper of my powder bronzer and just gently set where all of that is placed. And I discovered a new favorite lip last night. My Westman Atelier lip liner, shade Biscuit. I feel like I used a lot of pro makeup artist brands in this tutorial. You know, the perspective of pro makeup artists is just always something that has spoke to my makeup heart. And then I am gonna grab this YSL blur. Remember, was this the blur ink? Something like that. Yeah, inks blur, I had it backwards. Shade 230. I will say, if you live in a drier climate, these might be a little bit too drying, but I live in a very humid climate. So the first time I tried this was in New York, and it was in the winter, and it was super, super dry, and I didn't like it. Here, down where the lizards live, I love it. All right, my friends, you can see all of this beautiful sculpt through here, but it was so evenly blended. It's a lot easier to sculpt with underpainting, but it's still a technique. It's still gonna take a little bit more effort than just throwing on our favorite concealer, which I also love to do, but this is going to be the easiest way to sculpt and shape the face. I'm actually gonna go ahead and order the lighter shade, and we're gonna play around with that as well. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope that even with all of the yap, there's something here that was easy for you to digest. I really think that y'all are gonna like this formula, and if you've ever been curious about underpainting, this would be a great place to start. I love you so much. Thank you for enjoying makeup as much as I do and for being my friend. All right, love you. Bye for now.